Hey gamers, Gecko here. The Guilty Gear Strive patch notes are finally out, meaning that we can actually see all of the changes that Arxis have made for Season 4, and I'm personally very excited. I'm a little bit late to the party, considering the fact that they came out at like 3 a.m. my time. I guess this is what we get for having a Dizzy trailer in European hours, huh? But I wanted to go through and read a little bit of them to you to see how the changes are going to shape up in Season 4, as well as give my opinions on the actual patch notes themselves. It's going to be a bit of a long one, so if you want to tab me out, maybe play a game in the background, do a little bit of work, just chill out, then go for it. I've heard my voice is not as grating as I think it is, which is a massive compliment from some people. Also, I'm not going to be reading every individual line. I don't want to read the words, changed knockback properties, and decreased startup, like 20 times. Probably even more. So we're just going to be reading the blurbs and giving you the general information there. They're generally pretty good this time around. It feels like there's a lot of information on the actual top, instead of having to read everything. So let's get to it, shall we? To begin with, the overall changes. The overall direction of the adjustments. This update focuses on adjustments to individual characters rather than universal mechanics. We're focused on re-evaluating the core concepts and strengths, as well as weaknesses for each character, adding new aspects and ways to play in line with that for all of them. Many characters have received significant changes to their tactics and controls, meaning players will have to go back and practice to relearn things. However, we hope that this new version of the game will be fun for everyone. This is a common trend that we're going to be seeing throughout the patch. There's a couple of characters that have had pretty significant changes, which is very strange considering the fact that the game's 4 years old at this point. I'm not necessarily against it, but also none of my personal characters got touched. I know a couple of people are a little bit upset with some of the changes, but we'll touch on to them when we get to the characters. Adjustments to defense and damage. We've raised defense across the board and increased damage for specific moves. There are still opportunities to deal huge damage in the right situations, but they are more limited. This change keeps the satisfying heavy damage the game is known for, while increasing the overall number of interactions throughout a match. This is honestly kind of good. Everyone's always said Strive is a very, very high damage game, and there's a couple of characters that have started to lean into that very heavily. Slay is probably the most obvious example, being able to do 75% of your health in one hit. Thought process then, I guess, is they want it so that everyone can take a couple of more touches from every character, instead of making it so that these higher damage characters are just doing better in the situation, which is an interesting way to go about it. It's going to spice things up. It doesn't say exactly how much less damage everyone is taking, so it could be a lot or it could just be a little bit, but I imagine we're not going to be seeing a lot of 75% damage combos off of a close slash anymore. About 6p. We have established a standard recovery for this move and increased recovery for characters who previously recovered faster, making it more dangerous to whiff. It makes it easier to react to in a situation where the opponent has whiffed 6p when using it as a preemptive counterpoke. Some characters have also received adjustments to active frames and hurt box. This is okay. There would be times where you're fighting against someone and they would be in neutral and they just do 6p into 6p. And it was kind of annoying, but a lot of the time I think people just learned to deal with it by going for a low or, you know, throwing them or some shit. Just something to get them away from them. It is a nice change, though, having them be universal across the board. Though, I don't think it is, and we'll get onto it a little bit. There is still a couple of funky 6Ps. Anyway, those are the general universal changes. As you can see, a very big departure from Season 3. Much more focusing on the actual characters themselves instead of the system mechanics, which I like. I thought there was going to be more adjustments to Wild Assault and Deflect Shield. The fact that there isn't is kind of upsetting, but it's nice to know that they're actually looking more at the individual characters than trying to just do everything sweeping across the board. So how about we get into the characters, shall we? Badguy is one of the characters that got quite a decent amount of changes. Not the most. We'll get to the most very shortly. But he has gotten a nice amount of changes, and he seems like he's going to play a little bit differently now. We've made major adjustments to his play, based on his concept as a character who specializes in close-range pressure. His aggressive lunging moves and long-range 6S have been toned down, making mid to far-range neutral a weakness for him. In exchange, he has more options once he is in on the opponent. such as special moves newly available as cancels from normal moves. Standard 5k now has longer startup and a better hitbox. It is no longer in the fastest class of strike attacks, but it remains a powerful move at close range. Major adjustments have been made to his neutral, strings, and combos in line with this. The first hit of grounded Bandit Revolver has more recovery, making it less potent in neutral, mostly. Bandit Bringer now leaves Soul closer to the opponent on block, making it more punishable. The aerial version can no longer be held, so the lunge always occurs at the same timing. Night Raid Vortex can now be performed as a cancel from normal moves, with changes to the movement speed and hit effect. The drastic decrease to the lunging distance means that Soul will now have to reach a certain range before he can approach in low profile. Fafnir can now be performed as a cancel from normal moves, with an additional clean hit property. This effect receives a major upgrade on clean hit, adding a wall bounce. The faster startup makes it easier to use, but it no longer triggers Guard Crush, meaning Soul will have to give up his turn if it is blocked. Heavy Mob Cemetery now costs 100 tension gauge, and it can be used in combos. It deals more damage, which opens up a game plan to finish off the opponent before they can use their Psych Burst. That's quite a hefty amount of changes for little old Soul Badguy. To begin with, 5k being longer, thank fuck. One of the most annoying things about Soul is that he was good in literally every department. He was pretty fast for the kind of character that dealt a shit ton of damage. His offense was fucking insane, and his defense was equally as insane. Removing a free frame doesn't make his defense not insane anymore, but it means that he has to commit to his more potent options in order to get out. This, alongside the DPRC change, should make it so that opening up Soul Badguy isn't as hard as a process, because he has to commit to DP. The changes to Bandit Revolver and Bandit Bringer are going to be kind of interesting. The fact that Bandit Revolver has more recovery means that, yes, if he does whiff it, you're going to get a better punish, but also, he might not be able to use it on block as effectively because it's more negative now, which is kind of funny. We might be able to get close slash punishes more consistently. Bandit Bringer leaving you closer as well. Thank fuck. But the big one! Fafnir clean hitting. Fafnir always felt like a kind of weird move, if I'm entirely honest. You sort of stopped seeing it after a certain amount of time because it had uses, but they were kind of niche. So being able to clean hit with it now and getting a corner combo off of it, that's really cool. That's really sick. That's kind of awesome. That's kind of awesome. I always thought that clean hit H Volcanic Viper was the coolest thing of Soul's kit. Just seeing this massive DP and the screen freezes for like a full second is awesome. It's sick. I'm really looking forward to this change. Also, means we're one step away from Sidewinder loops. If you let me do that in the air and it keeps its clean hit property, so yeah, make it so that you can use Fafnir in the air, call it Sidewinder, and keep the clean hit property. Arxis, I beg you. Kyle Kiske. While Kai is a standard type character with generally versatile, powerful moves at his disposal, improvements to his special moves during the shock state make him excel more notably in neutral. In exchange, he's lost some of his combos extensions when outside of shock state. Stun Edge now extends hit stop duration during shock state. This makes it easier to approach from mid-range after the opponent blocks. Charge Stun Edge also does the same. If Kai manages to put the opponent into shock state and knock them down, he has a powerful Okizemi tool to keep his opponent locked down. The blowback from Vapor Thrust, heavy slash version, has been adjusted during the shock state. While performing a combo during shock state, this move can now be followed up even at mid-screen. Blowback on the hit for Foudre Arc has been adjusted, making it harder to extend combos mid-screen. More challenging now for Kai to travel all the way to the corner during a combo. I'm glad they put that. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting changes. I've always kind of been of the opinion that Kai's kind of boring, personally, and this kind of just leans more into a put shock state on you and then keep shock state on you kind of game plan, which, okay, it's fine. I do think having charged Stun Edge extend hit stop during shock state is interesting, because that now means it's more plus on block. That's basically what that means. Your hit stop is extended, you're more plus on block. That's just kind of how that works. He now has something a little bit similar to his older XR counterparts, where he's able to use a massive projectile on Oki to keep you locked down. It's not the same as Sigil, but, I mean, functionally it's kind of the same. So, a very interesting change. Interesting change for Kyle. I hope the Kai players like it. I'm glad that he can't combo me from one side of the corner to the other, though. May! A couple of smaller changes for May. We've re-evaluated her traits as a high mobile power type character. Her main pokes, such as fast standing S, have slower startup, with the heftier moves like forward HS gaining better hitboxes and additional damage to emphasize her identity as a power type. The ability to control the movement of split with back or forward inputs improves her mobility as well. Together, this makes her shine as a character with powerful strike attacks and excellent mobility in neutral. If you don't know what split is, that's dolphin jump. That's when she does dolphin and she hops off. That's quite an interesting change. I will say, fast slash being slower now is really nice. There was a lot of times where you felt May and she kind of just stand there and just keep fucking sending it. So the fact that now you actually have a couple more options to deal with it is... I like it. I like it. Forward heavy slash getting a bigger hitbox is probably a... There's times when you get in the corner against May and she'll just start charging it. And when you do that, you want to, like, jump out. That's the way to do it, because the hitbox doesn't work. I think that they're adjusting the hitbox so situations like that happen less. Like, yeah, you jump out, but May's still gonna hit you. Like, you're still gonna have to block the situation. I'm very mumbly today, I apologize. But yeah, interesting changes. I hope that the ability to control split means that she gets a couple of silly 50-50s, by just dolphing at you and then going forward or going back. That'd be funny to see. Well, it'd be funny to see. It wouldn't be funny to get hit by, but it'd be funny to see. Axel. I have not heard anyone say what the changes for Axel's are. While he is a character focused on potent long-range pokes, the input for Sickle Flash makes it challenging to perform it at the right timing. Change the input for Sickle Flash, making it easier when making quick decisions during combos on neutral. What? Higher blowback from 6k on hit makes it easier to combo into Sickle Flash. Combined with a change to Sickle Flash's input, his combos are now easier to perform. Rainwater no longer has a vacuum effect. The vacuum effect was added previously as an improvement. However, in line with our intention to highlight unique character traits, we have adjusted this move to serve as a means to open up distance with the opponent. On-hit combos such as standing 5p to Sickle Flash are possible. What? What's the input now? Oh my god, it's no longer a charge. What? You can cancel it into one vision? Okay, Axel 1. What the fuck? It doesn't say it here. Several of the moves, now when you're at the furthest edge of the attack, do more damage. Like, a lot of them. Both of your punches, your crouching slash, your crouching heavy slash, your jump P, your jump S, and your jump H, they all now do a shit ton more damage at the further edge. Which is... Holy shit. Sickle Flash is no longer a charge. What? 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 That's insane. That's... I don't want to talk about anything else. I don't care about any other changes. That's so weird. That is such a strange change. I guess with, like, how the game's going, it makes sense. Like... It's not like charges were insane in this game. They're like 30 frames or like half a second, maybe even less. It might be 20 frames. So charging a move isn't hard. But being able to immediately go into it is weird, right? Like, it is weird. I don't know. Maybe this is the buff that Axel needs. Maybe being able to do Sickle Flash at any time and doing more damage when the opponent is further away from you is what the character needed all the time. I'm very glad that Rainwater doesn't have the vacuum effect anymore, but that's just me. Anyway, Chipp. He's the winner! The birthday boy with a new move! Chipp has new special moves, Tightrope and Tightrope Run. Tightrope is a relatively quick move in which Chipp retreats backwards while setting up a rope. Holding the heavy slash version continues into Tightrope Run. During Tightrope Run, Chipp can perform various normal moves similar to Wall Run. He can also enter Tightrope Run out of Alpha Blade diagonal while the rope is set. During Tightrope Run, different inputs allow Chipp to run either on top or bottom of the rope. Running on the bottom of the rope makes it easier to force the opponent to block tightrope run attack, at the risk of running into the opponent's grounded poke. Running on top of the rope allows Chipp to approach while avoiding pokes, but it is challenging to force the opponent to block tightrope run attack from this position. I'm gonna fucking lose it having to say tightrope run all the time. Previously, Chipp notably lacked variation in his options after approaching the opponent. The addition of tightrope and tightrope run extends the potential of his neutral and string, opening up new possibilities. Blowback of crouching HS has been adjusted in line with tightrope run. This makes it easier to use in combos when the rope from tightrope is already set up, but more challenging to use in existing combos with Alpha Blade. Ooh. Very interesting. It seems like it is 100% dealing with just the tightrope. That is it. We are just focusing on the tightrope. Nothing else. Not really what I expected, but I'm glad that they're leaning into it a lot. I said this when I first saw tightrope, and I'll say it again. Holy shit, this is such a cool special. It is so sick. It is so sick. It's so cool. From the sounds of it, the opponent cannot interact with the rope. It doesn't say how long the rope stays there. Maybe it stays the whole match. I hope it doesn't. But it's very, very, very cool. I'm very much looking forward to the rope. I think the rope is sick. I think the rope is sick. Oh boy. Me when I have to kill Potemkin because I'm bored. Just a heads up, Potemkin has one of the longest lists of changes. Like, look at this. I'm going to scroll from the bottom all the way back up to the text. Are you ready? Yeah. They changed the fuck out of this character. Like, holy. So, let's go for it, shall we? Potemkin is a power-type character whose offense revolves around his powerful command grab, Potemkin Buster. However, in order to go for Potemkin Buster, he would need to use techniques to extend the range of special moves by cancelling the startup of 6k, making it an ordeal to perform his most crucial move. These adjustments have removed the special sliding input effect from 6k, instead extending the overall range of Potemkin Buster and adding armor while the grab is active. So, okay, before we get into anything, before we go through the rest of this, I don't like this change, to begin with. I don't. Pot now reaches further on Pot Buster. Cool. But 6k had more uses than just Kara Buster. You could use it for Kara back Mega Fist, Kara back forward Mega Fist, Kara Garuda. You could use it on a lot of different things. It wasn't just Pot Buster. It was kind of his identity, in a way, for this game. If you were gonna play Potemkin at a high level, you were gonna be doing Kara inputs. That's just kind of how it was. If you want to get the most of this character, you're gonna be Karaing everything that you can. And I think that was sick. And now it's gone. For an update where they want to focus on what makes characters unique and interesting and stand out from each other, I think that this is a misunderstood change. Because Potemkin already had a pretty strong identity in this game. There wasn't really a character, and there still isn't a character that's like Potemkin. Potemkin is very much his own thing. If you like Potemkin, you might like the other big bodies, but you probably like Potemkin the most. If you don't like Potemkin, then you're not just gonna magically like him. The fact that they removed this, I think, is trying to appeal to more of the casual Potemkin's fans, the one who like the idea of the big body, slam the grappler, fucking pick him up, Potemkin Buster, douche! Those kind of players. But it's alienating the people who currently play him, which I don't like. I have very mixed opinions on Potemkin in this game, but I will say that the Kara was the coolest thing about it. And also, it wasn't too hard to do. I don't play Potemkin, and I could reliably do a Kara Buster. Like, it's not that hard. Very silly change. Not very happy about it. Anyway, the inputs for FDB, Heat Knuckle, and Heavenly Potemkin Buster have been changed, as previously they would sometimes activate unintentionally. Potemkin Buster's 360 input remains unchanged out of consideration for the additional range and when it is performed while moving forward. There have been major adjustments to his properties overall in line with the above change. We've re-evaluated the role of each of his moves so that the hitboxes and hurtboxes make sense for a big body power type character. Slidehead has received improvements to the hit and block effect, greatly increasing the reward while making contact with the opponent. In exchange, it has longer recovery, making it more crucial to aim for a moment when the opponent cannot avoid it. The movement properties of Hammerfall have been adjusted, making it faster initially and then later decelerate. Hammerfall Break and Hammerfall cannot cancel into follow-ups during the startup, but have less recovery. While following up into Hammerfall Break directly after activation, Potemkin now covers much more distance, making it a strong option for approaching the opponent. FDB now better fills its role as a means to reflect projectiles. With improved properties in neutral, it can now reflect nearly all projectiles, with the reflected projectile gaining stronger attributes. In exchange, the strike part of the attack has a weaker hit effect, making it less effective as part of strings and combos. Garuda Impact has been changed to a projectile move. This makes it no longer subject to the effect of knockdown, creating less distance with the opponent while making them block in the corner. In exchange, it no longer triggers the counter hit effect and follows the rules for projectiles overall, with Potemkin remaining in the counter hit state until the end of the animation. So, that's a lot. That is a lot. They basically adjusted every single one of Potemkin's special moves in order to go more in line with the big body fantasy, I think. The idea that Hammerfall Break now immediately sends you further is kind of funny in my head, because I'm imagining a Geo Step Dash, but it's just Potemkin doing Hammerfall Break over and over. So that's going to be interesting. But the rest of it doesn't seem like it's giving him a lot. If anything, it seems like they fixed a bug with FTB, but now you're doing it so you can't cover Garuda. And Garuda, you can Tatami Mat Garuda now, and it will work. Like, when they say it's a projectile, I don't know if they mean it shoots out a projectile or if the fire is a projectile. And either way, that's kind of weird, because if people have anti-projectile moves, they just get rid of it. I don't understand this change. I don't get it. From the sounds of it, it is still Guard Crush though, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. It's just going to be now when people have ways to deal with projectiles, they're going to be able to deal with Garuda more. I can envision a world where Giovanna spiral arrows and a Potemkin just tries to Garuda it for some reason and she just goes through because it's funny. So yeah, Potemkin's, I wouldn't say he's been gutted, but a lot of his special moves are affected by that 6k change. Again, Mega Fist has been massively affected. And also the fact that you can't Hammerfall into Super now is going to be... Ooh, that's going to be weird. That's going to be really weird for a lot of Potemkins. They'd love to slide up to you, do Hammerfall, and then do Reflector Shield. And from the looks of it, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So, sorry, Pot. Sorry, Pot players. I'm sure there's a lot more in here that I have not seen. Oh my god! Backward Mega Fist, increased recovery landing. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Go talk to your local Potemkin player and make sure they're okay. Because this is a lot. This is a lot. It looks like every single one of his... Did every single one of his normal moves get changed? No, okay. Oh, no. Maybe they did. It's okay, guys. 5H is still the same. Massive rework for Potemkin. We've reevaluated the mechanic of several moves so he can make more use of items. In exchange, several of his moves that were oppressive in neutral have been toned down. Hole-in-One can now be performed individually, rather than only as a follow-up from pullback. While used like this, Hole-in-One can strike items. It can even strike items that have fallen on the ground. So it would be possible to strike Afro and force it onto the opponent, for example. When using What Could This Be to toss an item, back or forward inputs can control the position of where the item is tossed. This means that Faust can make better use of stored items, including items like the trumpet that were harder to use, by tossing it to a position closer to him. Jump 2K has more recovery on landing. As it is a very powerful and highly rewarding on counter hit when performed at a low altitude, this change increases the risk when it whiffs. The Mini Faust previously remained on screen for an extended duration of time, meaning the opponent could not move for a long time. Reducing the number of times it can change walking direction shortens the duration it spends on screen. Let's go! Mini Faust is dead! Yes! So happy. This is interesting. Very, very, very interesting. They basically nerfed Jump 2K, and from the looks of it, they've just made it so that items are more interactable now, which is pretty good. Faust is a chaotic character, but there have been complaints from some Faust players that they want to be able to control the chaos a little bit more. Item Store, while technically being able to help with that, wasn't exactly the solution that a lot of people wanted. So being able to adjust where the item goes is going to be a lot nicer, especially now that you don't give your opponent a donut or a trumpet for free. Millia. Millia's biggest strength as a character is her high degree of freedom mid-air. These adjustments here were made to further highlight this strength. Some of her moves which were challenging to deal with and highly rewarding have been toned down. She can now act sooner during her aerial backdash, so she can quickly cancel into a normal move. When cancelled quickly, Millia's trajectory drops directly down, opening up potential for misleading string. It is now easier to cancel Jump D into Air Dash. It also deals more damage, meaning a successful mix-up with Jump D can lead to solid damage. As Capel was highly rewarding, on hit despite being challenging to handle for the opponent, it no longer launches on ground hit. The knockback has been adjusted so that it can now combo into Jump K and other moves, making it possible to end the combo with Sweep for knockdown. I still feel pretty neutral on these changes. I imagine being able to drop directly down after early canceling a backdash is going to be kind of interesting, but he's also going to fuck a couple of Millia players over when they're not used to it. I don't know. Yeah, good for Millia, I guess. I was already pretty mid on the changes when I saw them in the trailer, and from the looks of it, it's very minute stuff. Yeah. Congrats, Millia, I guess. I don't know, I'm neutral on this one, I don't care. Zato. I will say, something I'm very happy about. I have always been a Zato hater since day one. Everyone has been asking for Zato buffs constantly, and Arxes have put their foot down and said only a little. And I'm happy about that. I am, genuine. I may be called a heretic or called out in Arxes Twitch chat for not downplaying Zato, but I'm glad that they're taking more measured changes to this character. They don't want Zato to be really good again. If you remember back in Season 1, top 8, it would not be uncommon for there to be like 3 Zatos. And after that, it was like 3 Happy Chaoses. And they don't want that for either character. Chaos, it seems like they actually figured out a good middle ground for him. At least in Season 3, at least I think. Zato, apparently they went too far, but they're scared to make him really good again. And I'm happy about that. So let's look at the changes they made in order to try and keep him in balance, shall we? Adjustments have been made to make Zato's normal moves more viable, as well as for Eddie to be more easily incorporated into neutral. As a result, this makes it easier to attack in tandem with Eddie. Sun Void allowed for overly extended pressure, so the situation on block has become a less advantageous. Oppose now drains less Eddie life gauge before the attack comes out, draining more upon the attack activation. It still completely drains the Eddie life gauge when fully activated, but Zato can now use it as a shield in neutral and then cancel into another move at low cost. The attack level of Fast Slash has increased, and it can now be comboed into Invite Hell. Fuck. Damned Fang now fully restores the Eddie life gauge when the final hit lands, comboed with a reduction on hit back from Heavy Slash. Combos such as Heavy Slash, Wild Assault, Damned Fanged are easier to go into. Eddie has longer recovery after Sun Void, and that's a lot, can now be avoided with a jump when used after the opponent blocked Sun Void. In order to keep the opponent locked down completely, the string needs to start from Pierce, making it harder to lead into mix-up strings than before. Interesting. So, they've made it so that Zato himself is a little bit more powerful as a base character, and Eddie isn't exactly weaker, but he's more linear now, and I kind of like that. There's a couple of situations you get in with Zato where it kind of just felt like he'd rinse you over and over and over again with Eddie, and there wasn't much you could do about it, and when you're like, hey, how do I get out of this? They're like, oh, just get rid of Eddie. So now, taking a little bit away from Eddie and giving us more ways to get out of silly stuff, and then also making it so that Zato is able to do things is nice. I'm fine with that. I like that change. I will say, I don't like the fact that the command grab gives you Eddie fully back, because it leads to Season 1 situations where he just kind of does pressure you in the corner, and then it's a strike throw, and no matter which one it is, he's getting Eddie back. It's kind of annoying. But fine, I guess. He needed something. The opposed change is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, the fact that Eddie is now, he's able to take more hits, and you're able to do that and shove him away with Drunken Shade. And not lose as much. It's going to be fun for the Zato players. I think it's going to give him a level of security that I wouldn't exactly say, well, I guess he does need it. He doesn't have any defensive options. It's going to give him more level of security. Let's go with that. Interesting changes. Not the buffs that I imagine Zato player wanted. I don't think this is going to make him top 1. Don't worry. But, I don't know. I like these changes. I think they're interesting. I'm very happy with this pack so far. And we're not even past all the base characters. Ramlethal Valentine. Woo, baby. Okay. We've reevaluated her mechanics on a large scale to make her excel at fighting from mid-range with her 2 swords. Baiken, I don't know how to say that, has majorly increased attack properties. Slash version now firing at a downwards diagonal from above. Unlike previous versions, it now serves as an extremely powerful projectile even from mid-screen. To add a weakness in exchange, we've added a time duration after firing the sword before it can be collected again. We've also made adjustments to most of her moves to create more contrast in her power between when she is with and without her sword. Her damage with no swords is lower, whereas with swords, she now deals around 1.5 times the swordless damage. Daro now launches the opponent higher even on grounded hit, making it possible to follow up with a combo. If Ramlethal can combo into Daro after hit confirming a move such as Fast Slash, this can lead to a significant reward from mid-range. Sildodetro now functions as an overhead with fast startup. As it will pass over to the other side of the opponent if they crouch at a close range, it becomes crucial to find the right range. Aralumo previously required techniques using dash cancels to make full use of the move. However, the adjustments made keep it simpler, focusing instead on the buffs gained from delayed inputs. Calvados can now only be used when both swords are equipped, with significant extra damage in exchange. While it is more challenging to use, if it connects, it is an extremely potent move. Interesting. Overall, I would say that Ramlethal is getting a lot of buffs. This is a lot of buffs. Guard crushes with your sword mid-screen and doing 1.5 times damage when you have both of your swords? What the fuck? That is insane. I do know that several people liked doing Kara dash Rekka after Rekka, if that makes sense. So they do Rekka, Rekka, Kara dash, Rekka, Rekka, Kara dash, Rekka, Rekka, Kara dash, Rekka, Rekka. But you can't do that anymore. That's gone. And I think a couple of people are sad about that. The fact that it now guard crushes is... but it is a little sad. Old Ramlethal's game plans seem to have been adjusted a lot. I imagine that she's still gonna feel very similar to fight against. Well, I don't even know. Because she used to just constantly shove you to the corner and then, like, do corner pressure constantly. It doesn't look like she's gonna do that anymore. It looks like she kind of wants to space you out in mid-screen and then figure out how to get her overhead or use the rock. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I like seeing characters do new stuff, but I do feel one for the Ram mains who really, really likes Ramlethal. A lot of changes, though. That's, like, the second big one. Just under Potemkin, that's the big change. Leo Whitefang. Leo's main strength should be his powerful offense in Brindahill's stance. I can't say it. However, he also excelled at neutral before entering the stance. These adjustments make it more challenging for Leo to enter his ideal situation, with the opponent at point-blank range while he is in Brynhilde's stance. In exchange, multiple adjustments to Brynhilde's stance make an even more powerful offense possible once he manages to enter the stance. He now halts right away after a back input mid-dash, making it harder to close the distance while blocking. Quarter circle forward heavy slash, I'm not saying his name, now moves more slowly as a result, requiring Leo to be closer to the opponent in order to cross them up. Esterum, HS, that's flash kick. He can still perform Okizeme while crossing over to the other side of the opponent with it. During Brynhilde's stance, his steps can now be cancelled into attacks. The attacks gain momentum after cancelling, making it possible to attack while sliding. Turbulence now creates more distance with the opponent on block. Combined with the added invincibility from his back step, he has more options for neutral while in the stance. Interesting. It did always feel like Leo's stance was, you went into it entirely to make sure that you just did a mix-up, and then the moment they block heavy slash, you cancel stance. So it kind of feels like they want you to actually use it a little bit more. Even in neutral, the sliding effect is going to be fucking funny. Ah, yes, I am dashing at you as I am sliding with a giant fucking heavy slash guard crutch coming down. Bang! I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what you want me to say. It's Leo. They just made him a little bit sillier, I guess. I guess it's easy to get into backstance now, and you're not as good in neutral. I think that's the takeaway. Nagoriyuki. Nagoriyuki's potent mix-ups have been toned down, adding more depth to his blood gauge management instead. While the blood gauge is high, he wields extremely powerful pokes, worthy of his one-shot character type title. Shinjuryuki now knocks the opponent down straight away on grounded hit. It can no longer follow into a combo even when roaming cancelled, making it impossible to combo off of his powerful overhead attack. Thank fuck. Standing heavy slash and crouching heavy slash can no longer be cancelled into special moves. They are harder to incorporate into strings, but they can deal major damage even as a single hit when the blood gauge is high. They deal heavy chip damage as well, making them very potent even when blocked. Blowback from Blood Rage has been adjusted to make it possible to combo into after it hits a high altitude near the corner. Zansetsu now deals more guaranteed damage. He can take advantage of these changes to strategically manage the blood gauge and intentionally activate Blood Rage to finish his opponent off. Quite challenging as he needs to be aware of the opponent's burst gauge as well, but he has the potential to end the match in one fell swoop. Interesting. I think they're leaning more into the literal title of one-shot with this. Nago is in a really weird place in Season 3 where he was a heavy mix-up character. He had a lot of high-lows that all led into really good combos. I say a lot. It was one high and one low, but they were both really good. They were both really strong. So making it so that if you don't block the overhead from second hit DP, you immediately just hit the floor. Thank fuck. It was not fun getting hit with that and then immediately going into a combo. Also, it doesn't say it here, but you saw in the trailer that he does it and his health just absolutely drops. We thought that it meant that the Blood Rage goes all of its duration. No, if you use Zansetsu, your HP is reduced to 1! This means that Zansetsu is going to do a shit ton more damage, though. Like, it is going to do an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. But if you fuck it up, if you use it recklessly, you die. You die. You die. I don't care what you have after it. If your opponent blocks it or it doesn't kill them, you die. One fireball from Chipp will kill you. The fucking shuriken from Chipp will kill you. If I lightly breathe in your direction after you use Zansetsu, you will die. Interesting. I do wonder how the blood rage and blood levels are going to be affected specifically. I wish we were getting more specific numbers, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of cool to see. Also, I don't want to be that guy. They added Guard Crush to both of the heavy slashes. Yikes. Giovanna, my beloved. We've made many adjustments to her mobility to ensure that she can move around quickly in neutral, further emphasizing her identity as a character. On the other hand, some of her overly powerful strings and combos have been toned down. For her powered-up state in which her attack and defense vary corresponding to her remaining tension gauge, she now gains increased movement speed as well. She can more easily move in after the opponent whiffs an attack, making her better at whiff punishing. The version of Sepultura as a cancel from Shav was not widely useful, so now it moves forward drastically. It also has a better hitbox, allowing it to hit even against the opponent's 6p. On hit, it knocks down the opponent, creating an opportunity for Okizeme. The version of Trevor as a cancel from Shav no longer triggers Guard Crush. This makes it somewhat more challenging to go for a ground throw after it is blocked. Since Giovanna has the advantage and is in close to the opponent on block, she can extend her pressure with close standing S. Cool. I like these changes a lot. The fact that now she gains more movement speed with her tension really sells the idea that you want to have at least 50 at all times with Giovanna. It's always been like a thing with Gio. It's always been good to have the meter. But when it first started out and you only did a bit more damage and took less, it was always kind of like, maybe not. Maybe you can like spend it. But now spending 50 meter is going to actually be scary because you're just going to be slower. You're just going to be way slower. We weren't gaslighting ourselves though. She is faster in that trailer. And we could prove it because the patch notes. So yeah. Also, Asuka forward kick, enhanced, no longer doing guard crush. So people are upset with it. I'm fine with it. I don't mind it. I always thought that was kind of cheap, because you would just run the same shit over and over. You'd throw. Do they have Gold Burst or DP? No. Okay. It's time to do guard crush. You throw. Check it again. Okay. And you just keep doing that over and over. It's kind of cheap. The fact that they've not affected the frame data on it is still going to make it cheap. It's going to make it less cheap now, because now they can YRC out of it, which is it's pretty good. Good changes for Geo. The fact that they've not changed too much is nice. Also, 214K beat 6P again. We're finally back. Anji Mito. Anji's a character who launches his offense while taking a risk. However, there are many instances where the reward far outweighed the risk. While reducing the damage he can get from Fujin, we've added new offensive options for him and made it easier to extend his offense. His offense moves at a faster pace, so while it comes with risks, he can better dance around the opponent. The decreased hitback from Nagiha leaves Anji closer to the opponent after they block the attack. It is still a very potent option to make the opponent block it at max range. However, at the wrong spacing, it can be punished more easily. Rin now knocks the opponent down straight away on a ground hit. It can no longer follow into a combo even when Roman cancelled. However, the faster startup makes it more effective as a mix-up. On hit or block, it is now possible to cancel Charge Fujin into Fujin, Ko, or Sugetsu no Hagibokai. Is that parry? While the change of Rin makes it harder to deal major damage after the mix-up, he can now extend his offense. It is also possible to use Charge Fujin again after Charge Fujin. The opponent needs to take some sort of action in order to escape, meaning Anji can make a highly rewarding read to counter the opponent's escape option. I don't know how I feel about this change. I said this before. Fully charged Fujin into fully charged Fujin, I think is kind of boring, personally. It puts a lot on the opponent to figure out exactly what Anji's going to do. And if not, he's just gonna keep doing it. Change to Rin is very interesting, though. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, the faster startup is nice, but, like, you can use it to close rounds, I guess. I don't know. I feel like Anji got something kind of cool taken away, and it was added with something kind of lame. I hope the Anji players like it. Let's go with that one. Ino. Ino's unique dash makes it challenging to adjust her position. We made adjustments to improve her subpar neutral. That subpar is doing a lot of heavy lifting. She has more poke options from long range, making it easier for her to create situations where she can dash in towards the opponent. She can now perform antidepressant scale again while the first projectile remains on the screen. The initial projectile will explode as it does on a hit, and then disappear, dealing a single hit. It can function as a feint when the opponent attempts to avoid the projectile to help control their movement. Chemical Love can now be performed while moving forward with a forward input. This closes more distance on hit, and especially makes it easier to work Chemical Love into combos. Aerial Chemical Love is now subjected to momentum, meaning it can be used while descending. When performed out of an air dash or an air dash back, she can throw out a poke while moving horizontally. Not as crazy as a change as I expected it to be, if I'm honest. Antidepressant scale not being a fake, and it, like, note being a hit, and you can, like, pop it early to do another hit is interesting, I'll say that, but I don't know. Ina's in a really weird spot where other characters kind of just do what she does better. Hopefully the fact that you can move around more and cancel into more pokes is going to give her more opportunities to get a knockdown so she can start running her really good offense. But I don't know, man. I don't know if these are the changes that she needs. I'm mixed on this one. We're starting to get to the bit where I'm really mixed on the changes. I liked a lot of the earlier ones, but Ino is strange. Goldlewis Dickon. We mainly extended his options using Behemoth Typhoon. The security level related mechanics have been adjusted in line with this. Goldlewis can now spend security gauge, follow up Behemoth Typhoon by using the same direction Behemoth Typhoon again. This opens up even more powerful offense for him, such as following up 862 Behemoth Typhoon with 624 Behemoth Typhoon. The effects for each Behemoth Typhoon have been adjusted in line with this change. Skyfish can now be fired repeatedly when held. It expends security level gradually, every 3 shots fired, and it can be fired until it's empty. Charge rate and depletion rate of the security gauge have been changed. Now with time duration after each instance, it is spent, in which it does not charge. These changes come together to mean that Goldlewis needs to carefully consider where to use security level based on the situation in the match. I don't like the Behemoth Typhoon change. What I wanted was, I wanted them to make it so that Behemoth Typhoon wasn't as strong in order to change this, but it looks like that there's levels of how you can do it, right? So, like, if you do 862, you can only cancel into 624, or, like, 268, or 248, right? Or, like, 684. Like, you can't go then from, like, 486, or 426, which I guess is better. It means that he has less bullshit that he can do. You can't... I don't know if you can go from 862 to 842. Goldlewis players will have to try this out. But, yeah, it's not a change I like. Skyfish also being able to be used without spending the security gauge a lot. I think that is a good change, especially now that security gauge matters a lot more to Goldlewis. You basically only ever use the security gauge on drone because it was the good one, right? Like, Skyfish is useful in some situations, but the good one's the drone, and it goes. So yeah, I think it's... We'll have to see how it plays. I do think the wording is kind of vague on what you can and can't cancel into, so I will 100% have to see how it actually functions. Maybe this isn't as bad as I think it is, and maybe, like, you can't do a Behemoth Typhoon into a mix-up into a Behemoth Typhoon. But we'll see. Jacko, look how little changes she got! These adjustments extend her potential to attack with servants. In response, some of her options that were powerful even without servants have been toned down. Servant Shoot can now be cancelled into a dash when kicking a servant. This makes it easier to utilize place servants effective. This dash cannot be cancelled into special moves or overdrives as it comes out. Her sweep now has a horizontal blowback. It is harder to follow up with attacks such as Servant Shoot when hitting at max range. It's also more challenging to go into a combo on counter hit. Very simple changes. Jacko's in this weird state where I think she's really powerful, but not a lot of people play her. So I think Arxis doesn't exactly know what to do because they don't have a lot of data on her. She is a character that not a lot of people are playing right now. And that's fine. That's not a good thing. It's just because she is really complicated. 2D making it so that you do less damage, you get less combo potential. That's good. Because she was going under a lot of shit with that. And the Servant Shoot not being able to be cancelled into, like, a special or anything. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Decent changes. Jacko changes I can actually understand. Which is nice. I'll take it. Happy Chaos. We've made fine-tuned adjustments to his mix-ups and the ability to control the situation. Scapegoat has been toned down in order to make the demerit of not being able to block during fire more clear. 2K now launches the opponent on hit. It can now lead into higher damaging combos upon a successful mix-up. Sweep now launches the opponent higher up. It can now start Okizeme in a more advantageous situation when replenishing resources with reload and focus. Scapegoat no longer withstands an attack from the opponent. When Chaos and Scapegoat are in the same position as the opponent's attacks, the attack will hit Chaos as well. He moves back further during the startup of the move, making it more potent when used to create distance and replenish resources. Interesting. They've buffed a couple of small things about his offense, but that Scapegoat change, that's massive. That is fucking huge. A lot of Chaoses would like to just set up Scapegoat and then immediately start generating resources, wait for you to hit the Scapegoat, and hit you. And there was a lot of complaint that several people didn't know how to deal with Scapegoat. It wasn't the hardest thing in the world, you just did an attack into another one, generally 5k into 6p, but now, that's not a problem you have to work with. If a Chaos is standing right behind his Scapegoat, you can hit him. I do wonder how the launch height on Sweep is going to affect things. Maybe he'll get combo routes without bullets, and he can just 2k2d, like, run up close slash. We'll see. It really depends. Baiken. No, I can't laugh. Not yet. Her moves are now more versatile overall, making her close-range offense highly potent. Standing far slash has less hitback, so following attacks are more likely to connect. Combined with the changes to standing heavy slash and crouching heavy slash, it's easier to use HS Kabari in combos. I can't pop off yet. I can't. Kabari S version has a more powerful vacuum effect, pulling the opponent in closer regardless of the distance when it connects. Combos are now more consistent on hit, with a better situation for Baiken when it's blocked. I can't. As Higari doesn't have throw invincibilities like other reversals, we've given it its own unique merit. It can now be performed even while blocking the opponent's attack. When performed while blocking, it does not perform the counterattack from the standard successful parry, instead triggering Guard Crush. It can also be cancelled into a dash when the opponent is in the Guard Crush state. Baiken can turn the tables in her favor with a successful Higari when used at the right point in the opponent's string. We're so fucking back! What were the two things that people complain about with Baiken? You can't combo for fast slash. That's fucking fixed. And parry's dog shit now. I can't even say, oh, that's technically effective. It's not that good. No, this is fucking sick. This is so good. If your opponent is using a lot of true strings against you, you can just Higari and get them off you. And because it's dash cancelable, you can Higari, Kara dash cancel into S Kabari, and it will probably connect. And if you look, S Kabari's good. This is massive. This is huge. This is sick. I love this a lot. People are gonna fucking hate this. I like it a lot. For multiple reasons, though. One of the biggest reasons is it brings her closer back to her actual roots. A big complaint of old Baiken players is that current Strive Baiken is very different to the other Guilty Gear Baikens. And that's fair, because it's kind of true. But being able to do shit from a guard, that was literally plus R, baby. Like, that's what that was. That was the XX series. So it modernizes her still, but it gives us the effect of being able to get out. And now because we don't have parry RC, it doesn't fucking matter because I have a better parry. I love this shit. I love it. I fucking love it. I'm so happy. I'm actually going to pick Baiken up again. Genuinely. Testament. We've made adjustments to improve Testament's pressure during Stain. Ground and air throw now also trigger the Stain follow-up attack. While damage proportion prevents this from leading to major damage, combos leading to a wall break are possible. Testament 6P had one of the best hitboxes and excelled in controlling the opponent's movement, so it now has heavy recovery. It now comes with substantial risk on whiff. That's it! Stain pops on throw. Barely got changed. Testament's balanced. Testament's perfectly balanced, according to Arc System Works. Testament is perfectly balanced. Put that on a shirt. Bridget. Rolling Momentum has new options to extend Bridget's neutral and string potential. Inputting up or down during Rolling Momentum now changes the trajectory in the direction of the input. In line with this, she can no longer jump during Rolling Momentum, making it impossible to jump and then block the opponent's attempting counter. For the shared damage adjustment, the increase for Bridget is relatively minor. This helps clearly convey her concept of a character who has a plethora of options, but deals lower damage. Okay. I think I originally saw the Rolling Momentum, and I wasn't that happy with it, but the fact that you can't jump cancel Rolling Momentum now, and you have to change which way you go, that's a fine change. That's an interesting change. I don't mind it too much. I have weird things where she sets high yo-yo, and then she goes like, woo! But we'll see. Also, she does less damage. Sin. Sin is a character who uses his stamina resource to go on the offensive, but the fast recovery rate means that it is rarely ever exhausted. These adjustments slow down the stamina recovery rate and extend the cooldown time. In exchange, his moves that cost stamina are more powerful. It is simpler for him to get in highly damaging combos, but combined with the changes to fast standing S and crouching S, he has a harder time when he is low on stamina. Gazelle Step can now be used individually, rather than only as a follow-up from his special moves. It is an exponentially powerful tool to close distance from fast standing S. However, the increased recovery means that Sin needs to surprise the opponent with it or risk getting countered. Follow-ups from his special moves have been adjusted to have more powerful hit and block effects. Excluding combo strings with Heartbreaker, he can now spend 2 bars of stamina to extend combos from mid-screen. Interesting. We did see the combo from one corner to the other with Sin, and everyone was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But the fact that he has that in more bursts now is kind of interesting. The fact that he's not just going to be able to use it and then immediately get it back. Hell yeah. He has to actually think about his stamina a little bit, which I'm kind of happy with. It always did sort of feel like Sin's stamina was you use it, and then you go back, you wait like 6 seconds, and now you can go back on the offensive. And you had really good buttons to deal with it, because you would just press like 2S // 6P, 5H. Just wait for the opponent to do something. Not 5H. 5H sucks. But you know what I mean. 6K. That was a good one. But yeah, interesting changes. I like the fact that they're making him more rushdown focused, because I like rushdown. I am a monkey brain man. Bedman? As certain strings were extremely good at keeping the opponent locked down as well as difficult to escape from, we've made adjustments to its lockdown potential. In exchange, Bedman has new options available during neutral. The guard crush duration after charged and fully charged fuck off, has been decreased. The same applies to the attack triggered by Error 6E. It makes it more challenging to continually force the opponent to block the charged version in strings. However, the projectile generated by Error 6E now homes in on the opponent's horizontal position to an extent. This can function as a poke when returning to neutral after the opponent blocks Call 4B9 mid-screen. Call 13C has left recovery, making it more versatile, and it can be used in strings and combos. Okay, so Call 4B9 is Explosion Slam. The big Explosion Slam that Bedman will constantly pressure you with. This change is... what the fuck? It's very weird, because that was kind of what Bedman did. It was a constant guessing game of shoving you in the corner and doing massive fuck-off explosions constantly. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. It depends how drastic it is, I think. Because it used to be quite drastic. You used to take a lot of chip damage, and you used to take a lot of fucking negative frames. But if they change it down drastically, so if he does the quick charge, it's just your turn, that's going to be interesting. If they make it so that the longer charges don't give him his turn, that's going to be very boring for the Bedman. It depends on how much they've changed everything, basically. Interesting change. Didn't really feel like they gave him much more to get, though. Asuka, R-hash. Some of Asuka's spells have been toned down to make it less common for him to be able to continually fire spells for an extended time. On the other hand, infrequently utilized spells have been improved to open up various strategies for him. The Bit Shift Metron spell, fuck off. The Bit Shift Metron spell that started from level 5 has been removed from the test case, so all versions of the spell now start from level 1. It makes it harder to make time to restore mana. However, it now takes less time to increase level, so the level 1 version is more powerful than before. The extended duration of recover mana continuous is shorter now, and mana no longer recovers when Asuka is blocking or taking damage. Oh, thank fuck. It needs to be used with caution, as if Asuka ends up giving up his turn after using it, the duration could end without receiving any benefit. Recover mana instant no longer discards the spell in the current slot. Bookmark random import now bookmarks spells in current empty slots as well. Both of these moves are more viable without such clear demerit. Asuka can now change test cases while bookmark full order is active. He can search for spells while swapping test cases, making it easier to put together highly strategic spell combinations. I love this change. I love it so much. I genuinely feel like a weight just got lifted off my chest. One of the most annoying things about Asuka is you could be beating the fuck out of him, or you could just be like pressuring him, and it was still in his favor because continuous recover mana would just fill his bar, and there was nothing you could do. For a character whose entire concept is you don't run out of mana, being able to make it so that you can just constantly keep getting mana was so strong. I like these changes a lot. I like these changes a lot. Less powerful spells in his deck. Now recover mana isn't as good, and he doesn't get mana while he's fucking blocking. Oh, thank fuck. I love this. I love this change. Johnny. Due to the major adjustments made to the previous July balance patch, Johnny has not received as many changes. Mistfinder can now negate projectiles. Although it is an uncommon situation for Slash to only hit a projectile, this adds potential countermeasures against characters with projectiles. That's it. I guess they assume that everyone else is now going to be around Johnny's level, but Johnny was fucking strong. How the fuck did you pull this one off? Yeah, okay. Johnny's still in the game. Good for Johnny. There's no changes for me to comment on. I'm kind of upset they didn't nerf something about him, though. Elphelt. While Elphelt is still an approachable character with simpler traits, the adjustments focus on increasing her offensive options. Here I Go can now be cancelled into a dash when the attack connects. This makes it more versatile, useful in combos, strings, and other situations. Nailed It now has a wall bounce effect, leading to more options for Okizeme in the corner. Bomb Bomb Beret, which was utilized infrequently, has had major changes to its properties. It can now be used in combos with certain moves, such as Standing Heavy Slash and Bomb Bomb Chocolat, setting off the bomb rather than only via time duration. The bomb no longer disappears after wall break, making situations where Elphelt triggers wall break after Bomb Beret incredibly advantageous. Her super's better, and she can dash cancel, I think that's Rekka? Yeah, she can now dash cancel the start of Rekka, which is very interesting. While Ram had that completely taken away from her, Elphelt has it now. So I don't know how this is going to work. I guess it gives her more options after the start of Rekka. Because now she can dash cancel into Bomb Chocolat, or she can dash cancel into another Here I Go, or a Close Slash. Who knows? It's probably mostly going to be useful in combos, I think. Doing Here I Go, Kara dash cancel into something. We'll see, though. Good for Elphelt. I'm glad Elphelt got buffs, honestly. She's kind of been lacking for a little bit. She also has Red Wild Assault now, instead of Blue, which, good for her. A.B.A! These adjustments add greater contrast in her kit by maintaining her explosive power during Jealousy Rage and toning down her standard stance. Standard stance. She now halts right away after pressing back mid-dash, making it harder to close in the distance while blocking. Intertwine and Tilt have more recovery, with changes made to the blowback on counter hit. A.B.A is more likely to lose her turn when it is blocked, and less likely to get a combo on counter hit. Jealous Rage. The blowback of Judgment and Sentiment has been adjusted, making it possible to follow up on a grounded counter hit. It now offers greater reward on counter hit, as it is slow to fully come out and costs a large amount of Jealousy Rage. Another weight has been lifted off my chest. Thing I've been saying with this character is normal mode and Jealous Rage are too close in power level. They're too similar. Jealous Rage is really strong, but the fact that you could use 236k in normal mode just fucked up so many people. And there was RPS against it, but it was in A.B.A's favor. You blocked one of her moves in normal mode, and it was her turn no matter what, and it would get her into Jealous Rage, and she would kill you. Now that being more negative, more characters are going to be able to just get out of that situation, and normal mode is going to feel way worse to use. Thank fuck. I'm happy with this change. I am genuinely happy with this change. Slayer. Funnily enough, not the least amount of changes in the patch despite that he's the newest character, and still not as many as I'd want. Some of his moves that were highly rewarding yet easy to connect with have been toned down. As he had high defense relative to his explosive power, we've decreased his gut ratings, which effectively decreased his health. In exchange, his moves that were challenging to use properly have become more versatile. Increase the recovery of Mappa Hunch Punch version, makes it easier for Slayer to lose his turn when the opponent blocks it, and he ends up at close range. Super Mappa Hunch no longer has invincibility on startup, instead gaining invincibility partway through the move. While it can no longer be used as an invincible reversal, it works well as a counterpoke against opponents from long range. He now moves faster at the start of his backdash. The latter half now moves more slowly. The total distance travel remains unchanged, but it is easier to avoid attacks from the opponent when cancelling Hand of Doom. His Fast Slash and 2H have been adjusted a little bit, not as much as I'd like, but they've been made so that if he whiffs 2H, it's a lot easier to punish him, which thank fuck. And his Fast Slash has changed properties depending on the first hit being in the air, which, I do like the backdash change. And I am interested on the fact that Super Mappa Hunch is no longer invincible. This means that his defense has gotten worse because he's lost an invincible reversal, but he can actually backdash now. It's going to be really interesting. I think Slayer's still going to be annoying, but he's going to be less annoying in, like, specific ways. He's still gonna fucking kill you, but you don't have to hit him 3 times anymore. And also, well, you might still have to hit him 3 times, you never know. And also, he has less of a chance to get out of sticky situations by using Super Map Punch. But he can still use it to go through projectiles. Interesting change. Not as much as I'd like to see. I know that he's a newer character. They probably don't want to do sweeping changes with him, like they have with Ram and Pot, which I didn't want, but I don't know. I think he could have done with a couple more nerfs. But yeah, those were the patch notes for Season 4 of Guilty Gear Strive. Let me know what you think. Has your character been buffed? Nerfed? Are you happy with the changes? Do you not like them? Is there a change where you look at and you think it's the best thing ever? Or has all of the changes made you incredibly angry? Personally, I think this is pretty good season overall. There's a couple of characters where I'm a little bit confused about, especially in the later portions I've noticed. But I'm very happy that Baiken can play the game again. And a couple of older characters are getting quite a lot of love. That Faust change looks fucking funny, dude. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be uploading more videos later this week about Dizzy when she comes out. Make sure to catch those. I'll also be streaming tomorrow, 6 o'clock. We'll be playing Dizzy in Celestial. It'll be a fun time for everyone but me. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all later. Peace, guys.